Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. I'm your host, Priscilla Gendron from the Psychic Talk. And joining us today are two very amazing psychic mediums, and they're both from the UK. So we just wanted to join you today and give messages from Spirit. And they'll tell you also a little about themselves and their journey that they've taken. So I'd like to give it over to Psychic Medium Bonomo, if you'd like to have the floor.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. I have seen spirit since I was 2 years old, so it's been a very, very natural thing for me. And I've done lots of different jobs, but there was always a progression. And some may say you get pushed into it, but of course we've given our consent before we arrive here. And so I was very gently nudged into the direction of doing this. And one of the ways that happened was I started to lose jobs, and I've never lost jobs in my life. And I started to lose jobs and work. So it was perhaps not such a gentle nudge into getting into this field and working full time. And it's something that I really enjoy doing, readings and teaching as well. I'm also an author, and my first book was called Summerland, and that was completely inspired. It was done by automatic writing, and that's something that you can find on Amazon. And I'm very excited to have my new book coming out in June. And that's about a gentleman called Leslie Flint, who was a direct voice medium. And so you can actually hear and converse with the people live, as it were, if that's not a strange thing to say. So you can have intelligent conversations with them. So the book's about Leslie Flint and his life, and it's also a transcription of some of those. But the exciting thing is that there's also the recordings with it, so you can hear people supposedly dead speaking intelligently. So that's coming up in June. Very happy to be here, very privileged to know both Suki and Priscilla. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. It's always wonderful to join forces with you. And we always have just such wonderful connections with Spirit and with each other. So thank you so much for us your time. And that leaves us with the last but not least, Suki. It's over to you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, my name is Suki Klair, and as Priscilla, it's such a pleasure to be in this event. It's always a joy, and I'm basically a psychic medium, spiritual counsellor. I have my own counselling practice here in the UK, in Birmingham, and very much like Leo, I've always had a connection with spirit from very young. I just used to call them my invisible friends, not really knowing what and who they were, but they were just invisible friends. Always had experiences of various, sort of spiritual connections, speaking to spirit, and always that instinct of when to do something and when to go somewhere and when not to do something. But in the last few years, definitely been very pushed to go towards doing this full time, doing this more and more and more, and getting myself out there. So this is a perfect platform for that. And just my primary motive is to help people, to help them to connect with loved ones, to help them to make, to help them through. I specialize in grief counselling. So it's to help them to go through that process of grief with the healing and with the connections of loved ones, and giving them an understanding that they are still here. We may not be able to touch them and feel them and speak to them, but they are still here. And it's such an honor to be the middle person, shall we say, between spirit and the sitter, and be able to provide those messages, because they do bring such comfort and such joy, and they can be very funny, they can be very surprising at times. Sometimes I've had a few naughty messages that you think, okay, do I really want to say that? It's always joyful and fun, and one of the best things about what I do is the feeling of love that you are left with after you have communicated with spirit, and that warmth. It's it's undescribable. It's a joy. It really is a joy. So I'm so looking forward to this session. So thank you, Priscilla.
You're welcome. It's always wonderful to have both of you with us. A question for both of you. We can start with Leo. What was your most surprising turning point as a psychic?
I think the most surprising turning point was I asked Spirit for absolute proof that I'm meant to do this. And I was asking quite forcefully because, you want something definite, don't you? You don't want something you have to think about. And so one night I had a dream and the gentleman that came to me was Robert Brown. And I didn't know Robert. I didn't know he existed. And in this dream, he introduced himself and he said, you need to go to the SAGB, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain, and you need to find a medium and teacher called Jerry March, and you need to sit with her. So I woke up remembering this and not have heard of Jerry either or of the association. So I Googled it online, found out that there was such an association. I then found out that there was a teacher called Jerry March, and I promptly applied to go and sit. And Jerry did an interview at that time, and she didn't think I was quite ready at that point. So I found out then that Robert Brown actually taught in the same place. So I sat with him for a few weeks because Robert disappeared. Nobody knew where he went. He actually ended up in Germany. So I sat with him for a few weeks, and then when that kind of evaporated, I reapplied for Jerry and sat with her. So to me, that's striking confirmation of what Spirit can do, and I think the best information is sometimes that you have to corroborate. It doesn't come to mind straight away. And so that was very striking for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Leo. And you, Suki?
I think my first experience of really being pushed to use my abilities and skills was my sister was having, and this is about 15 years ago, my sister was having visitations from a spirit who was very, very present. She could hear him coming up the stairs, and it got to the point where he was literally sitting on the bed and trying to get into bed with her, in the sense that she could feel him physically there, and it really freaked her out. So she said, well, you're into all this stuff, come and sort this out. So I read up a little bit on, watched a few videos on spirit, clearing the house, not expecting anything, complete novice. And I went there, and I intuitively was drawn to connect with the spirit and speak to the spirit. And it was as clear as day for me that I was connecting with somebody. And he happened to be a soldier who was from the Second World War, coming back home, realizing it was 1990 something and the World War had finished, several decades before. But in his time frame, he was coming home back to his wife and children. So he was stuck between the two realities. And it was helping him when the door opens, and it was very much like the film Ghost, where I just saw this beautiful light open in the room and him walk through, and his wife and his children are literally standing at the door greeting him, and he turns around and thank you, and his wife, before she closes the door, she just says, thank you, we've been waiting for him. And that, to me, I was just, it's always emotional when I tell that story. But the most fantastic thing was, me being nosy like I am, I went to the local library and I looked up in historical records of who lived there, and I found out that there was an actual soul who'd lived in that property and what his name was, and he had actually passed away during the war. That for me was confirmation. Mind blown. And my sister never had experience again. So for me, that was confirmation. It's like, I can do this, because I've always doubted myself. It's one of the biggest things as mediums and clairvoyants and psychics is we always doubt ourselves. But when we put that doubt out of the way and we allow that pure connection to come through, amazing things happen. Amazing things happen. So that for me was my absolute starting point in that. I'd had experience before where I'd heard spirit and they were making themselves known that we are here, but it's like, oh, it's an old house, creaky board, all this stuff. And you just make excuses for what you're experiencing, and you literally are sat down and like, no, we are real, we are here, and you need to get some work done. So yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I know for myself, I've been doing this for a very long time, probably about 30 odd years. And it still amazes me at what comes out of my mouth and what spirit give me to say. And even I sometimes get, did I just say that, you know?
Yeah.
Because, and I think that is the mark of how we conduct ourselves as mediums, because there is so much out there of people that are pretending to be psychics and mediums and, you know, not sitting in their authenticity. And, you know, it does put a shadow on people like us who are genuine, who do our work and take it seriously. I take my work very, very seriously. And I won't, you know, my level of standard. And if I feel like people are not right or ready for even for my work, for my show, then it's difficult, because you have to have some kind of authenticity for it. You know what I mean? So for me, it feels like when we are working with spirit, we have to give them the platform, and they work through us.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting.
Sorry, Leo.
Sorry. I think it's very relevant what you say, that we doubt ourselves, and you know, I think before we can convince anyone else or give good evidence to anyone else, we want it ourselves. And I think that's a foundation stone, you know, because we all go through that phase of this could be nonsense, you know, what I'm hearing I can't confirm, you know. And I suppose what we do is very close to schizophrenia, isn't it? Because they hear voices, and the only difference between us and them is they hear the bad voices. So we definitely have to get it right within ourselves and feel right within ourselves before we have confidence of going forward. Sorry, Suki.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. Because it's like, for me, I say I'm perfect because I'm a Gemini. So I say I can have two voices because I'm a Gemini. So there is two anyways. That's my excuse. Okay, so let's jump.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Priscilla, though.
Yeah. Sorry, Suki.
And I was just about to say, I'm so glad you brought that up about working with integrity and working with honor and working without ego, shall we say. And everything that we do it from a platform of honesty and love. Yes. And that's it. You know, and it is a shame and it's like in any profession, there are always bad apples, shall we say, that sort of taint everybody else. But certainly, you know, from the experience like yourself and from Leo, you know, I know that we work from that platform, and that's important.
Very much so. But also, I think it's also got to do with social media and how we've been Hollywoodified, and how it's portrayed, you know, and things like that. So it's never really been given the you know, the acknowledgement that it's due, in a sense. It's always been, you know, it's frou stuff, and you're talking to dead people, and it's all made in jest, in a sense. It's never made with any kind of integrity.
Personally, I don't really like the word psychic very much, because to me it conjures up pictures of the end of pier stuff, and you know, it's purely entertainment. If you don't put that word in, the public generally don't understand, and so you won't get the work. So it's something that's become interchangeable. But I think the image is slowly improving, as so many people now, partly because of the internet, they're not afraid now of saying, I had this happen. Years ago it was very different. People would be quite afraid, and you could almost imagine the doctor, if you tell them that you hear voices, reaching for the phone, there are good mediums now that are doctors, and so the whole thing has changed, which is a wonderful thing. But years ago it was different.
Very much so.
What's wonderful to see is a huge curiosity that's out there as well. People want to know. They want to know what's all this about. How can I get more information? Learning the basics because all of us have skills, all of us can connect to spirit. It's just a question of finding a good teacher, getting to do the basics and putting the work and effort in. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but you have to put the work and effort in, and focus on and have a focus. This is what I want. This is what I'd like. And speaking to your spirit guides, connecting to your spirit guides, getting to know them, getting to know each angel's strengths as to what they are bringing forward for you, and how you can use that on this earth.
I think that's interesting because there's a very well-known gentleman called, I can't think of his name now, I'm so embarrassed about that, but he's known as the Psychic Postman. And so his mind works around names, addresses, that kind of thing. And I think what people perhaps don't understand is that any skills we have are transferred. So if we have a good memory for names or numbers, that kind of thing, that comes out in the work that we do. And this is why some mediums are really good at giving out addresses and that kind of thing, and others maybe technical in other ways. And it's the natural talents that we have harvested that can be brought out. But I think the other interesting thing is that we can ask our guides to work in particular ways. So if we're not particularly good with numbers or addresses or maps and that kind of thing, we can ask our guides to help us with that. So it's an ever-evolving thing, as you know. It's never static.
Yeah,
very much so. And I think that it's so important that, as psychic mediums, we have just a really huge responsibility to do the work with the integrity. And I'm always one, if I go and see somebody, I want them to do better than I do. So I'm always very hypercritical. So it's like when you're a doctor, that you go and see a doctor, they always say you make the worst patients. I make the worst sitter because I criticize everything. So I'm just picking the points. So that leads us beautifully on to our next little section of our thing, and that is question time. So we ask all the people listening in today to please just pop a question in the comment section, and we will then endeavor to answer them. So we have quite a few people on, and welcome everybody. Fiona would like to know if there's any messages from Spirit for her today. So I can give that to Leo.
Okay, let me just try and link in there with you, Fiona. I'm seeing someone from the shoulders up, Fiona, and for me that always means that the person's alive, and I can sometimes pick up very accurately on who's on the end of the line or in a studio like this. So I'm seeing someone with dark brown hair. There's an indistinct parting really, and the hair's quite long. It's just below shoulder length. And the woman that I'm seeing appears to be slim. I've just caught a quick glimpse of eyes, and I think the eyes are green. and they would be a dark green. Would I be describing you, Fiona?
I don't know if she's got green eyes, but she has sort of brownish hair.
Right, and hopefully that's that. Okay, so I'm not sure who's giving me this information. I'm just going to have a quick chat with someone. I've got a gentleman. He's actually written 53 for me. I would take that with a pinch of salt, but he's certainly about that age. He does look slightly older to me. Like me, his hair is shaved, and I can see thin, round glasses. These look like gold frames that I'm seeing. Like myself, there's a bit of weight there. I don't think this gentleman is very tall. He's about 5'6", something like that. Quite neatly dressed. He would tend to be smart casual all the time. Would you recognise this gentleman at all?
Okay, let's just see. I don't know if she's put it into the thing. Okay, no, she hasn't responded. So
okay, I'll just give you what I'm getting, Fiona. I know this gentleman was slightly distant from the family. He is connected to mum's side, and he wants to say that you need to push yourself a little further. There's a few things that you're needing to get done, and he says you have been holding back on that moving forward. He says that you feel like you're in a hole, and there is a real need to get into gear. I think with COVID, that's allowed us the luxury, if you like, of just laying back and not doing so much. But he says the time is present now. Hopefully you would understand that he says that there is money to be earned, and he's doing this with his hands. So I know that the money is needed, but he also says that you have to push yourself forward for it. There are some changes that are coming up for you, and he says these would be very welcome. So hopefully you would understand being stuck in a rut and just not being able to move forward. Hopefully that makes sense. Bless you.
okay, and then going to Suki. Any message for Fiona?
The message I was getting to, you mentioned her name, was shown hands. It's like you've got to use your hands. And this gentleman was showing me his hands, and his hands were quite they were working man's hands. He did a lot with when he was here. He was very, very very practical person. But it definitely, from what Leo has said, is that I feel like you're stuck in a rut, and he's saying you've got to love yourself more. There seems to be an emotional disability there with you, in that you there's lack of confidence. He's saying you need to love yourself more, and that was his first message. You need to see yourself as others see you, in the sense of, and although he wasn't around a lot, it's like, I love you, love you, love you, I love you, love you, love you. And the message is like, you've got please accept that message, because it just feels like your head's very down, because he's saying that you sit there a lot and your head is very down, and you need to lift your head up and love yourself more, because that will help you get out of this this almost like quicksand that you feel that you're in, that you can't feel like you can move this way or that way or that way. It's just that little bit of extra effort, and he's like pushing you. He said, I am pushing, I'm helping you. And I don't know whether you've been feeling like some like on the back, that somebody has put warm hand on your back at times. So that he's saying that this is him encouraging you. Please, he sends you his love. He's around you quite a lot, because he is quite worried about you, but he's saying don't listen to the extra voices that put you down. You've got to love yourself, and that's what his main message is. So God bless. I hope you can take that.
Thanks very much. Okay, so our next message is coming from, let's see here. Let's go up. From Erica. She wants to know if there's anybody around her at the moment. Erica. So I'll give that one to Suki first. Yeah.
As soon as you mentioned her name, I felt like there was like a feeling of nausea around her. It's like somebody and it's almost like they couldn't hold their food down. An elderly lady who was quite frail, and I felt like she lost a lot of weight towards the end of her life. Because she's showing me that, and she was quite frail. I'm going towards more the grandmother figure of in the mom side. So I'm when I'm showing like the left side, it's always the side of the mother. What I'm saying is that she sort of sits there, she observes you. She's absolutely fascinated with your day-to-day runnings of what you do, because she came from an era that we didn't have the gadgets and everything that we have now, and she can't understand why you never have enough time to do things that you want to do for yourself. So what she's saying is you need to find time to do things for yourself, because it just feels like you're overwhelmed at the moment. And she's there, and in her lifetime things were very basic. I don't think it's grandmother, I think it's more great grandmother. In her lifetime, and basic. And it's like the message for you is you're overcomplicating your life. Please uncomplicate it, because that overwhelming feeling of anxiety, almost like when somebody feels with an anxiety, they start to feel sick, that will disappear when you stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Okay, so step back a little bit, simplify your life, go back to basics, and you won't feel so overwhelmed.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm going to go to a question in the private box view.
Okay.
Like
Okay. Hi, Christine. I have. There's a lady linking up with you. I would say it's mid-blonde colour. It's more of a straw colour. It's quite highly permed, and this lady's quite thin as well. As she kind of, it's not a low top, but she's showing me a top. I can see the ribs at the top. So I know this lady was born thin. This is what she wants to overemphasize, perhaps, but she was very aware of her appearance. She's also used a lovely term. She says, I used to eat like a bird, so she'd just peck at little things. I do know that there was a loss of weight towards the end of life, and what she's saying is that you seem to be quite anxious about things. She says if we go back 7 or 8 years, she wouldn't have called you an anxious person at all. And it may just be the environment that we're in, but she says you are anxious. There is a slight loss of confidence that you have. And again, she says you would have been, if you go back about the same time, you would have been a very confident person. And she realizes that things have changed your world, but you seem to be concentrating on what is, not what was. And she says you can gain that confidence back. This I don't think's got anything to do with COVID, because we can always use a phone or chat to neighbours, that kind of thing. But she says you're not communicating very much with people. I've asked her the obvious question of whether you're withdrawn or you feel withdrawn. She says that's not really it, but you have just kind of gone quiet. So she would want you to use your voice. As I'm asking for evidence on that, she says you are a very talented person. She's actually written the word inspired for me. So I know that you're quite capable of that. And she says you seem to be waiting for inspiration rather than actively seeking it. I would say that you're sensitive in a psychic and clairvoyant sense. Because she's mentioned that, and she's asking the question, what are you waiting for? So I feel that there is this need for you to reach out for people. Hopefully you would understand her saying that the home environment will become more steady. It needs to relax a bit as well. So there's some sort of tension there. But she says we are now coming out of the COVID situation. We're allowed to do more, and she wants you to. It's a strange phrase. She wants you to embrace the sunshine. Obviously, we've been kind of hiding away, but I don't think that's it. Hopefully that would make sense to you from the point of view of kind of hiding away. But I feel it's just more communication with other people that will get your confidence up. Hopefully that makes sense to you.
Thank you, Leo. Thanks very much. Okay. So I've got another message coming up. So it's from Vanessa, and she'd like to know who in spirit is present and what goals should I pursue. That's for Vanessa. Suki.
Okay. Go on, Suki. Sorry.
I was picking up a gentleman. It's like the name that came through was I'm Puppy. I'm Pappy. Puppy is like, I know there's I'm just Puppy. And I do feel like it's a grandfather figure, but it just feels like he was very close to you because he wants to give you a big hug. He just wants you to give you a big hug, and he just feels like you just need that confirmation that I'm loved, and you need that people around you, and this is why I'm saying open your doors. You need to open your doors and allow the people to come to you, allow them to come through your door, because it's not like you are somebody who has been afraid, but there seems to be something going on with you internally, emotionally, where you don't quite feel like you can talk about your problems. And he's just saying that, it's just me, it's just Poppy. I'm here to listen to you, because there's times I do feel like a sense that you've sensed him around while you ask the question. So he's trying to encourage you to just sort of open your doors and allow the that feeling of, it's like feeling confinement, just to open your doors and allow people to come through, because I do feel that you're a very sociable person, and this period of this last 12 months to 18 months has been quite difficult and isolating. But this is much better for you. It's saying the phrase Leo just used is like the sun is shining. Go have a look. The sun is actually shining. It's time for you to get out there and allow people to communicate with you more.
Thank you.
I hope you can take that.
And Leo was going to jump in with a message, so I don't know if there's anything else there, Leo.
Yes. I've got a lady that's linking up with you. There's really voluptuous dark hair. This is a very outgoing person. She describes herself as embarrassing because she's very gregarious. What she's saying is that there is a need for you to change direction now. This is a life direction as well as a working direction. I'm very careful with names, because when they give a name, it can be a link name, not necessarily their name. But hopefully you would understand a Kathy Anderson, and it's Kathy with a K. And she's just giving that as evidence to you. Second, so we've also got Mansfield and Manchester. So those should be connections either with her herself, if this is her. or Kathy Anderson. And she says there is a need now to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Changes are needed, and that's becoming very apparent. What happens in life is if the path we're on gets blocked and blocked and blocked and we stop from going forward, it is because we're on the wrong path. Now, I wouldn't say wrong path in a very harsh way, but there's certainly a need to move onto a different path. And she says to get things moving. Things feel very staid around you. They're not progressing. She's also showing me 2 houses. And for me, that would mean that you've either moved fairly recently, which I don't think you have, but there is a need to move. She's just written for me, breath of fresh air. So I feel that a change of housing as well as a change of employment and just moving in that different direction is exactly what you need. She says you do not like to be bored, and what has happened, again, she's used that word, things have become very staid for you. And she says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's not like last time. So what she's intimating there is that you reached a similar position and made what she's calling perhaps a drastic change in life, and that didn't go well. So she wants to reassure you it's not the same thing, but you can move on, and there is that need to move on. She's actually written Southend for me, so I don't know if that's where you live in the country, but she's taken me to that seaside town. And there's a sense there of just wanting to have time off, give yourself a break. Hopefully that will make sense to you. Bless you.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo. Okay, so we're going on to Melanie, and she's saying, please can I have a message from Spirit? That's Melanie. Go to Suki.
Okay, Melanie. I just feel like the message from Spirit for you is it's okay. I just want to put my arm around you and say it's okay. It's not. I just feel like this overwhelming sense of everything's doom and gloom. Everything's doom and gloom. But they just want to put their arm around you and say it's okay, like a very motherly, grandmotherly figure that's giving you comfort. Come on, love. And I do feel like there's been lots of tears. There's been lots of tears, and there's been a sense of what's the point? What's the point? They are telling you that where you are at this moment is not where you are going to stay. It just feels like you feel like you've reached a dead end and you can't see your way out of it. Please be assured that things are moving for you. You may not know it, but things are moving quite fast for you. You just got to give yourself a little bit more time where you need to do self-healing. You need to put to rest all of these emotions that have been bubbling up inside of you that you've not acknowledged. And this time lately, these last 6 months, it's like everything's been pouring out of you. All of these emotions are pouring out of you, and they just want you to say it's okay. You are not off track. You are where you perfectly need to be to go through what you are going through at the moment, but it's not the end. It's not finite. You're not going to be stuck here. I do feel for you because they're showing me the daffodils, and if you can take the daffodils as the enlightenment of spring, there's that hope. So they're saying that just look forward, because there's a lot of hope in your future. The changes that you have been asking for around it's more around with your career and your employment. That will change, but it's going to have to go through a natural progression. You can't push it, and it's like you've been trying to push things, and the more you push, the less it sort of worked out for you. So they're just saying, back, deal with the emotional stuff first, allow yourself to the self-healing, and as I said, the arm around the shoulder, she's just saying it's going to be okay, Bab, it's going to be okay.
Thank you, Suki. And Leo, a quick response to that.
Yes. I've got a gentleman that's come forward. He's given his name as Terry. This gentleman would have lost his hair or begun to have lost his hair quite young. He's actually written 23 for me. And he would have had dark hair. And it's not exactly a comb over, but because it was growing quite well at the back, he used to comb his hair forward. And that's gradually released. And what he wants to say to you is to give yourself a break. He feels you are far too hard on yourself. He says you're expecting things to fall into place. You're expecting that if you begin something, it's going to be successful. And he's waving his finger. He says it's not always that easy. We have to put effort in. Now, he's not criticizing you for not putting the effort in, because he understands that phrases used is the background is very, very busy. So I know that there's a lot going on in the family, but he wants you to be a bit easier on yourself. And he says, make the decisions slowly so that you give yourself time. And I feel that that is relevant in that you haven't had time to make changes in the past. And he says there's no rush with that. He's just written birthday for me and shown me cakes, so I'm not exactly sure when your birthday is. I don't feel it's too. He's just said within 3 weeks, but it's certainly not too far. So he's just saying that he's looking after you. He understands. Just be easy on yourself.
Thanks, Leah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a message from Angie. She says, I have a loved one that transitioned 7 months ago, and I'd love to have a message if possible. That's for Angie.
Okay, Angie, as I'm seeing a lady, and she's lying on the bed. I'm not sure, I've got to be honest, whether this is a hospital bed or not, but it seems more likely that. And she's showing me this in a very unusual way. It's, you know, when you see a film and you see a body on the bed and it kind of dissolves, you know, a bit Star Trek-y, that kind of thing. So she showed me that, and then she showed me herself coming back. The feeling I've got with that is that she either passed at some point and was revived, but then shortly after, she's written 2 days for me, shortly after she passed away again. She wants you to understand that everything is fine. I don't feel she believed in the afterlife. I don't feel she had a great belief in religion. That doesn't necessarily hold anything up. The fact that she's mentioned that, I think you have a concern of how she would be. She says that she is fine. She's actually given the name of Ronald, and there are various family members there. She is okay. She doesn't want you to worry about her. As she's talking, she's showing me 2 people standing apart. So I'm not entirely sure whether she's talking about physical distance, because I feel there's a lot of love there, but there was a distance. She just wants to reassure you she's okay. Hopefully that makes sense to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Suki, Vilma's got a question. She says, am I making the right decision to move in with my friend? That's Vilma.
Say the question again.
Vilma, she says, am I making the right decision to move in with my friend? Vilma.
The answer to that is yes, because I feel like you need the support. You need the unity. You need that that companionship. You need that balance in your life where you are not where you're going to be bouncing off there. So yes, this I do feel is a positive step for you, although I don't feel like it's going to be a very long-term step for you, but it's something that you need at the moment. You need that connection, because I think it will be quite uplifting for you. but you have been sort of like, I feel like you're pacing up and down about this decision. And even when you decide, you undecide. So you're very sort of like swinging like a pendulum. It's just make the decision, go forward with it, step forward with it. And it's going to be very experiential. You will learn this moving in is going to teach you a lot about you. And it's almost like it's going to open up aspects of you that you've been hiding, that you've hid from people and even from yourself. So this is a good move for you.
Thank you very much, Suki. Okay, to Leo, I have a question from Lena. How can I overcome my current work challenges? And that's from Lena.
Oh, okay, Lena. I had someone, some of you may be wondering why I shiver now and again. It's when spirits just come very close. And someone very close with you says that you've got a newfound confidence with work, but you haven't exactly got the will to push it through. And what they're saying is just stand fast. It doesn't mean you have to not back down in an aggressive way, but just be confident that you're doing the right thing. It is a test for you in a spiritual sense as well as a mental sense. To make the decision and stick by it. There's either been a promotion for you, or your responsibilities have expanded somewhat. This is a gentleman, I can now hear the voice properly, and he's saying the reason that you've been given these opportunities is because I hate that phrase. You are worth it. It sounds like a hair commercial, doesn't it? But he says you are worth it. You're being given chances to move forward, and you should have confidence that the fact that that is opening up for you is where you need to be. He says you're very much a people person, so I don't think you're in a supervisory or management role, but it's certainly something that you could cope with. He says, again, it's just the confidence in doing it. So he says, make a big, bold statement, just go for it. You're there for a reason, and the reason is you're capable.
Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't going to give it to Suki or myself because we know her. So thank you, Leo, for the message.
No problem.
Okay, so to Suki, we've got Celeste, and she said, Spirit visited me in my room last year during the night. They kneeled on my bed and I got a fright. What did they want? So I think it's just, that's all about, about spirit and
it's about acknowledgement. It's like we're here. I do feel this person was known to you in this life, and they're just coming to say I'm okay. They're just popping in and saying hi, I'm here. But because of the way they did it, they didn't realize it wasn't like them coming round for a cup of tea and knocking on your door and saying, oh, put the kettle on, love. This is what gave you the fright. It wasn't. And I do feel this energy is quite loving. So they have stepped right back to say, oh my God, I didn't realize what I'd done, because it's made you slightly anxious about when you go to bed and you hear these little noises. It's made you slightly anxious, but please do not worry. Speak to them because they are around. You are a very good communicator. I feel that you are a very good open communicator, but you just doubt yourself at times. You doubt what you see from the corner of your eye. So speak to this person because they just wanted to let you know, I got over there, I got to my destination, I'm okay. And I just wanted to come back and say, because they were quite excited about wanting to tell you about all the things that they have learned, and they just wanted to come and have a natter with you like they used to do. Just to connect, tea and chocolate cake sort of thing, and connect. But they didn't realize that they sound funny. I was no longer alive, so give you that fright. But I was just very excited to meet you again, to see you again, and to connect with you again, because I feel that you were in a very very deep sleep-like state when they just popped up and he went, oh, like this. But it's nothing to be afraid of. They were very excited to see you. And I do feel this was a lady.
Lady, yeah. Okay, so I'm giving this one to Leo now. And it's from Owen. I have been feeling my father a lot recently. Does he have a message for me? And that's from Owen.
Sorry, was that for me?
Yes, that's for you, Leo.
Oh, bless you. Okay. I feel a very loving gentleman. There's a slight Victorian sort of feel to him, so I know that he would have been strict in the best interests of trying to get things right for you. And I know that his dad, your grandfather, would have been overly strict with him. But there's a nice feeling of this gentleman just wanting to give reassurance. He's saying that there has been more interest in the last month or so with this subject. So he's coming along to reassure you that he is there. I feel that he could present two different faces, this gentleman. So there was the one that was the very open and loving within the family, but I feel he was very careful with strangers and wouldn't necessarily open up. So this isn't from the point of deception. It's just that he was a very close person, needed to get to know people. And he's just written anniversary for me. There's an important anniversary that's come up. I've asked him whether it's a marriage or a birthday or something like that. He says it isn't that. It's an anniversary on an achievement, and he's shown me that you got to point you got to point several years ago where you had to make a decision and you made it rather quickly, but it's turned out really well. And he's wanting to underline that things have gone well for you. And so his message, just briefly, is really that he remembers that he wants to identify himself with you and that you are okay, you're doing the right things. I do feel you're having to hold back on something and it's the right thing to do. So hopefully that makes sense to you.
Thank you very much, Leo. Okay, so our next question is for Suki, and that's from Shelley. And she says, is there any messages from Spirit for me? And that's for Shelley.
For you, Shelley, it's like they want to take you by the hand, and it's almost like they want this lady. I do feel this lady around you, and she was very well kept. She looked after herself. She made sure, even towards the end, although it was difficult for her, that she had a certain appearance, that she didn't want to be seen as slouchy or anything like that. And what she's saying to you is, get out of this rut that you've sort of fallen into without realizing, and put your best dress on, put your lippy on, put your best dress on, and it's time for you to go and dance. Because as soon as the first thing I heard, and I didn't want to say this, is like, Shelley, you're a little bit smelly. It's like there's a song, and it just feels like you put your best dress on, get your hair done, put your lip on, and this will really help to uplift your mood, because your mood has been slowly unraveling itself, and it's the little things that you do for yourself that you have forgotten to do because you've fallen into this rut that will really help to change things around you. You're not an unconfident lady, but you've just, in your appearance, it's like what you are seeing in the mirror is not really, it's not making you happy. So she's saying, put your best dress on and your lippy on, and I would never have taken you out like that, you know, because I would have said to you, go back upstairs and change your dress. So and she's given me a picture of two red shoes. So that to me is about going out and joining society and communicate, you know, sort of dancing, you know, get your dancing shoes on. Because this will really uplift your spirit. It's the little simple things in life that you have forgotten to do that you need to reintroduce. It's not going to cost a lot. It just needs a little bit more of your time that you need to use for you, because it just feels like you've been so run ragged doing things for other people. You've just like, oh, let me just put my hair up in a scrunchie. It doesn't matter. You know, it's not about me. It's about them. You've got to make it back about you now. Because you're a part of you, I do feel like you are exhausted, and you need to be reminded that, do you know what, you are important, you are loved, and it's almost like I didn't raise you to be slobby, and I'm really sorry for saying that, but this is the information. I didn't raise you to be unladylike, and so put your dress on, put your red shoes on, put your lippy on, and this will make such a big difference to you. It doesn't matter whether you've got anywhere to go, but the minute you get up, you need to get back into that habit, because you sort of let it slide.
Thank you very much. I hope that's
helped.
I'm sure it has. Okay, so our next message is from Hummingbird. And she says, hello, what does my guides want me to look forward to now? Thank you. So that's from Hummingbird. So who Hummingbird is, I don't know, but it's Hummingbird.
It's very descriptive, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Sorry, Suki.
It's lovely. It's lovely, but no, I'm saying it's lovely, but what do my guides? Hello, what do my guides want me to look forward to now? Okay. New skills. It's like you've been in this little comfort zone, Hummingbird, because a hummingbird just hovers in the same spot. It just feels like it's suspended, and it's almost like it's sticking its beak in the same flower, and it just stays there. So what Spirit are saying to you is that one flower is the one bud of a lot of flowers on that plant, and you need to move. They're pushing you out of your comfort zone, and they're pushing you to extend your skills, to expand your spiritual practice, and to take a risk. To take a risk is just like you are too much in a comfort zone, and it's uncomfortable for you now. So move on to the next flower or the next flower bed, because you've been here you've been here in this position for too long, and it's not like they can't teach you anything else. It's like they want to teach you more. So be ready for it.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question because we don't have much time left. And I've put it here onto the thing. It says, hi, please, could I ask if there is any messages from Spirit for me? Many thanks, Maria. So that's from Maria. And that's for Leo.
Hi, Maria. I'm told that you can take in vast amounts of information at a time, and you kind of distill it as we all do. But there seems to be lots of large chunks of information. And this is not necessarily spiritual information. It's stuff you're learning all the time. And because you do, I do feel there is a need now to distill this, to absorb this a lot. Hopefully you would understand that there are lots of spiritual experiences that you've been having, and this includes dreams and other types of spirit connection. I feel from what's been said, there's a real need in you to just get out there and do things. And I know there is a real need to help people. And this is a chance now for you to really begin to step forward. So there's this act of meditation, of absorbing what you've learned, and there's that putting it into practice. I do feel you're a natural healer as well, because that's been shown. And they just want you to interact more with spirit and take forward what you've learned. So I've tried to be as succinct as I can there. God bless.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo. And Angie actually replied to your comment. She says, thank you, Ronald is my dad and brother's name. So thank you for that confirmation.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
well done, Leo.
I can't remember the message, but thank you.
Spirits are working through us. That's really good. And Owen says, thank you so much, Leo. It meant a lot.
Oh, bless.
Okay, so then we have another message here, and this is from Anita. Working in the UK to support my family in South Africa during COVID. My husband not well, but sons are okay. Any message from
I feel your husband is completely drained. I'm not sure what is wrong with him, but I do get a real strong feeling of exhaustion, and this is exhaustion in the spiritual sense as well. So I think he's been a very hard-working person all his life, and he's temporarily run out of fuel. That's what's been given to me. He will recover. He strikes me as being quite an anxious person, certainly in the last couple of years of life. But things will be okay for him. There are lots of blessings and thanks coming for you in doing everything that you can. I feel you're doing more than one job. And they understand it's difficult at the moment, but they're saying it will be worth it. Things are going to ease up for you. So bless you, Anita. I'll say prayers.
That's Suki, for you. Any message for Anita?
I think for Anita is there's a worry that you are really stretching yourself. You're really stretching yourself, and you need to take. It's okay for you to put your feet up now and then because I feel this burnt out sensation with you as well. And you're quite exhausted at the moment. So please take some time out because just something simple like going and sitting on a bench in the park and just letting the sun shine on your face so that it reminds you of home. I do feel that you are quite homesick at the moment. But there's a necessity in your life that you need to fulfill. And as Leo said, things will improve from around the end of May to June. You will be in a much better position, but please take some time out because I do feel that your battery is running really low at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. So we had that comment there, and it's just thank you so much, Leo. Absolutely resonates with me 100%. So thank you about that.
Oh, thank you.
And Hummingbird said thank you. So that's great. Well, guys, we've hit the hour mark already, and it's been such great fun. And we could go on for hours because both Suki, Leo, and I can talk for Africa. So we have to call it quits sometimes. We'd love it if you could join us on the next talk. That would be great. So we just like to say thank you to Leo Bonomo and to Suki Klair. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, everybody.
And you can find Leo. I will just pop his details in the chat. His website can be found. I'll pop it into the comment section here. And the same as with Suki as well. I will pop in the email address and stuff like that to get hold of Suki. So I just want to say thank you very much. And Celeste says thank you very much. And last one, I think the spirit was my gran. Thank you all. Thank you all. So from myself,
lovely.
And from Leo Bonomo and Suki Klair, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope to see you soon on our next one, which is going to be the 19th of June. So hope to see you then.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.